Hey guys, Matt and Andy with Atlas Precision Consulting. We're back on YouTube again, and I thought this would be a great time for us to ask Andy some questions about Atlas and how they got in here. So I want to start off with first, Andy, with why did you start Atlas?
Oh gosh, I mean, I was working for a company. It's a larger P21 installation. There was a lot of complexity there, just a lot of different things going on, and we were dealing with light and heavy manufacturing. We had really complicated testing material cert requirements. We had aerospace and defense requirements. We even dabbled in like nuclear power plant requirements, and so I was trying to just get everything figured out. And the more that I got involved in the Profit 21 community, the more I started to see the need for companies that needed help with some of these more nuanced, difficult problems. I mean, it wasn't really enough to approach the problems from just either a pure business or a pure technology point of view. So you kind of had to put a blend of approaches into it that they work for the system, but they also ultimately have to work for the business. So through that experience, I wanted to create a company where we could approach these problems holistically, help people get real results. I'm not a big fan of hearing that can't be done. So I just thought, well, let's build a team of people that will actually do it while everyone else is telling us it can't be done.
Right on. So what does Atlas What is Atlas bringing to P21 users? What do we offer to them?
Well, I hope the biggest thing that we're bringing is clarity. I mean, you're going to get our honest take on any given issue. Even if that it means that we don't end up working for you. We'd rather any client or prospect get the best possible outcome, and that has nothing to do with what our revenue line looks like. We want customers to know that we advocate for them staunchly. We don't see everything as a sales opportunity. There's plenty of times, and you've been involved in these where the customer comes to us, "Hey, we want to do this thing. Can you build this?" And we're like, "Well, if you just adjust these settings and do this slightly differently, it'll give you the same result, and you don't have to spend a bunch of money with us." Um, and I think our customers appreciate that. And then there's other times where we look at things and go, "Well, it's doable, but here's why we don't think that's a good idea for the long haul." So I think the other thing that I want to strive for is just being a one-stop shop. I don't like the idea of trying to have customers remember who to call for what P21 problem they're having. For us, if you're having an issue on P21, you call us, that's it. We'll figure it out and get you taken care of.
Um, so you talk about top to bottom, we want to be a one-stop shop. So who are Atlas's customers?
With very limited exception, they are all P21 license holders. We work directly for the companies that are on P21. It is very rare that we will get involved in a situation where there's intermediaries or things like that. And the reason for that is simple. Again, we want to be that staunch advocate for the people that are on P21, and interjecting other parties into the middle of that usually muddies up the water, and we don't want to do that. Um, you know, Beyond that concept, we have touched so many more industries than I ever thought we would. I mean, fasteners is a big industry for us, but we also do a whole lot in just straight up industrial distribution, like MRO and things like that. Healthcare, manufacturing, construction, oil and gas, fuel, industrial gases like welding and stuff like that. I mean, the list just kind of goes on and on. And I think that's one of the great things about our team because we have as a group, there's a lot of diversity in our background as far as industry sectors go. So, we've got people that have done fastener, MRO, HVAC, flooring, aerospace, healthcare. These are people that have like real experience in these industries, and it keeps these conversations from becoming theoretical discussions. We've been in these businesses, we understand what's going on, we get it, and we can help you solve the problem in a very real way.
So on a personal note, how would you describe Atlas's workplace culture?
I don't I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that question. I think you guys would be the right people to answer it, but I can tell you what I'm shooting for, and then maybe you can tell me if we're getting there. So everywhere I ever worked, and I think a lot of people have this experience. There's a work version of you and a home version of you, right? Like you feel like you're one person at the office and somebody else when you're at home with your family. And I've never appreciated how mentally and emotionally exhausting that is. So above all things, I just wanted to have somewhere where people could just be themselves because a lot of stress melts away when you do that and you're a lot more productive, you're a lot more focused. So we're not putting on a show. What you see is what you get. And I get it. Like, just like today, right? Like we're t-shirt wearing, Lego building, Star Trek loving group of people, and that might not be everybody's cup of tea, and I get that and I'm okay with that. But we're still going to be who we're going to be. And then I think the second thing that's important is the people that are here, they care about the people that they work around. And a lot of people came here because they wanted to be around other people that cared about each other. We work really hard to have like a no ego atmosphere. Everyone's just invested in the company being successful and being successful as a team. So I think that's one of the reasons that we've probably been a little slower to add people than I would like is because the number one thing for me is culture fit and finding people that are really bought into how we operate and who we are before before we bring them on board. And that's not been easy to do, but I think we've done a pretty decent job of it. I don't know. You may feel differently, but
I
that's
personal, I am very happy. It is definitely great to be who we are, and I'll add a little. Most people enjoy that the fact that they can tell that we're not putting on a show, not pretending to be something we're not. So,
and I just want to make it clear, since this is going on the internet, that I like after a week of you being here, I had to like tell you stop blurring your background because it's super cool. And it starts so many conversations
it does.
with our customers.
It
It's
does.
awesome. So
Um,
anyway, but yeah.
so and I know one of your strengths you would say is us, but other than like our employees and what we bring, what else would you say is our greatest strengths for Atlas?
I There is no other than, Matt. It is our team. I mean, that's who we are. We've got great tools. I mean, and we've got good software and we've got great ideas, I think. Um, but at the end of the day, we've got people that can get it done and they care and they know the difference. And this is so key to me. They understand the difference between talking about doing something and actually doing something. So everyone here understands and is bought into the idea that we need to get the big things right, and we know and understand that we're playing in the spaces for our customers that are their competitive advantage, and we take it seriously and we execute on that accordingly. Our end product is usually not an idea or another meeting. It's what can we do to achieve a concrete result, and I don't know, maybe because of my background, I make the joke a lot with y'all that we're the military, we're not the legislature, right? I mean, we can help you develop strategy, we can help you flush out the ideas and all of that, but at the end of the day, we want to deliver on it. And when, selfishly as a business owner, when you look at whatever you're spending with us, the first thing I want you to think is, yeah, it was worth it. That's that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll wrap it up with one last question. Um, how do you define success with Atlas?
Internally for myself, I want I wanna be able to know that our clients are better off after having worked with us than they were before. That's important to me. Like, I wanna make sure that we're having impact on our clients' businesses. We've been into some really difficult high pressure stuff over the years. And the ability for us to get the customer into a place where things are happening that weren't happening before or that couldn't happen before, that's huge to me. Um, it's also important for me to feel like we got there without I don't know a better way to say it. Like, I don't wanna feel like we sold out or we went against who we are as a company. We have a lot of long-term relationships with customers. Sometimes we end up almost being an extension of who they are. And and you can only do that when there's a really healthy atmosphere that's grounded in understanding and mutual respect. And I don't, this is a cruddy way to say it, but I can't think of a better one, is people knowing what their place in the relationship is. Like, we understand where we belong and where we should be with each individual client, and that's different for everybody. And so if we can, when you can do that, you can't always, but when you can, it doesn't feel like you're working. And that's just a big win for everybody. And I really like, I like that theory on how to do it, because like here recently, we actually had a scenario where the majority of a management team that we worked with at one company, over the years had left that company. And then I've always joked this is like we were getting the band back together, and then all moved to a different company in a very short period of time, and then brought us back into that company. And we all knew each other, and we all knew what to expect, and there wasn't any friction of trying to figure out the relationship. And so it meant a lot to me that we were able to be impactful enough in one place that when that same team went somewhere else, they said, "Hey, we want to bring these guys back in." And that's, like, to me, that's not an accident. You have to work really hard, you have to do all of those things, but at the end of the day, that's a partnership that just, it lasts the ages.
All right. Well, thank you for kind of enlightening the YouTube crowd on who we are. If you guys want to reach out and talk to us, you can go to our website, atlasprecon.com, or put a comment on this video or any other video, and we're going to be bringing more content to YouTube. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.